Is it feasible that the subtropical rainforests of Australia are home to a gigantic lizard of 20 to 30 feet in length? As for the creature itself, it's not something created out of the minds of the fancy-driven or the deluded. Thousands of years ago, Australia really was home to such an immense beast. But one question some people ask is, do they still live despite the fact they've been declared completely and utterly extinct? The creature in question went by the name of Megalania, a huge monitor lizard that roamed Australia 40,000 years ago. It got its name thanks to Richard Owen, a paleontologist of the 1800s. Aside from crocodiles, very few prehistoric reptiles after the age of the dinosaurs achieved enormous sizes. Depending on whose reconstruction you believe, Megalania measured anywhere from 12 to 25 feet from head to tail and weighed in the neighbourhood of 500 to 4,000 pounds. Paleontologists speculate that Megalania was the apex predator of Pleistocene Australia, feasting at leisure on the prehistoric animals that shared its environment. The great monitor lizard would have been relatively immune from predators itself, unless it happened to spar with two other predators that shared its late Pleistocene territory: the marsupial lion or the quinkana, a 10-foot-long 500-pound crocodile. One interesting fact about Megalania is that it's the largest identified lizard ever to have lived on the planet. Many consider it unbelievable that significant numbers of 30-foot-long monster lizards could exist in stealth in the wilds of Australia, and not be found or captured. But let's take a look at what we know of this undeniably controversial saga. For years, reports have surfaced out of Australia of such creatures. Weird Australia notes that sightings of massive lizards in Australia were recorded in both the latter part of the 19th century and the early decades of the 20th century. Some of the old reports cited by Weird Australia sound very much like the surviving examples of Megalania. Aaron Justice, in an article titled "Megalania Dragon of the Australian Outback," said the following: "Megalania might not be constrained only to Australia. Some sightings suggest it may live in New Guinea." A French priest in the 1960s was travelling upriver with a native guide in order to reach his mission. During the trip, he spotted a large lizard laying on a fallen tree in the sun. Cryptozoologist Rex Gilroy has been able to put together a compilation of such accounts. One in particular is well worth noting. Gilroy, during the course of his investigations into the claims that Megalania still lives, had the good fortune to meet with a soldier named Steve, who told Gilroy a fascinating story. It was in late 1968 that Steve, serving in the Australian military at the time, was taking part in an exercise in Queensland, specifically in what was termed the Normanby Range. One part of the exercise required Steve's unit to negotiate a particularly treacherous and dense swampy area. As the team did so, they came upon a cow's body. Something had dragged the cow for a considerable time, before eating huge chunks out of the animal. More significant lizard-like prints were found in the ground, all of which were close to 2.5 feet in length. As amazing as Steve's story was and still is, it may very well have been nothing less than a close encounter with a monster that science and zoology assures us became extinct thousands of years ago, but which against all the odds may still be with us. So do you think that Megalania could still exist in some parts of Australia? Let me know your theories in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more countdown videos.